Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to respond to the report this morning. Chief Minister, I've heard you and your party members say over and over again that you will make no apologies. Just like other people have said today, I don't want your apologies. I want you to do your job. The job you promised to do, the job you say you and your party were elected to do, the job of making our communities safer. But too often you speak as if only some Territorians count. I've heard you repeatedly use divisive language, claiming to speak for the community who want to be safe, as though those who support evidence-based, smarter approaches to justice do not want to be safe, as though they are not part of the community, as though their voices don't matter. Chief Minister, the whole community wants to be safe. Every Territorian, no matter where they live, how they vote or what their background is, wants to feel secure in their home, in their street and in their daily life. And you are the Chief Minister for the whole Territory. Your government is responsible for 100% of all Territorians, not just the 48% who voted for you. To dismiss those who advocate for smart, effective public policy as offender apologists and to say you will not even listen to them is not leadership, it's exclusion. It's political posturing dressed up as public safety. It's also economically irresponsible, increasing the footprint of the expanding Northern Territory police state. We can't afford the CLP's expansion of the police state because your policies will rob Territorians of hospitals, schools and roads generations into the future. Leadership is about bringing people together, not writing them off. It's about representing all of us even when we disagree. And what we actually have under the CLP, this CLP government, is something else entirely. What we have is a political strategy dressed up as a public safety plan. We were told that the tough on crime approach would turn things around, that tougher laws, more prison time and headline-grabbing crackdowns would reduce crime and restore confidence. And since the CLP came into power in August last year, crime rates have actually gone up, and we've heard about that in the chamber this morning, not down. Police data shows more assaults, more property damage, more repeat offending. Assault is up, harm to an endangered person is up, total offences against the person is up, property damage offences are up. And as one of my constituents said to me last week, there's also what they call felt statistics. None of us feel safer. So what do we have to show for all of that? We have dangerously overcrowded watch houses, putting both detainees and police at risk. In watch houses, lights are on for 24 hours a day, there's no access to outside time, there are up to 16 people in a cell with one toilet and no privacy. People have to wait for days for a shower, and this includes children. We heard yesterday that between August and March, nearly 400 Indigenous children and teenagers were held in NT police watch houses. Some of those children were held for days at a time. These are not just numbers on a page, these are real children from real families in real pain, and they're all of our future. We've read reports of women in watch houses having to manage menstruation without privacy and the period products all women need access to for our safety and dignity and health. We have to remember that this applies to girls and young women aged from 10 who are in watch houses. This is shameful. All women in this house knows what it means to menstruate and what we have to do to manage this for ourselves. How dare we allow our sisters in custody to have their periods under such inhumane and undignified conditions? Madam Speaker, our courts are overwhelmed and our communities are still waiting for real solutions. We have more people in prison. In fact, we have the second highest prison population in the world per capita. This is not something to celebrate. We know that more than half of those who are locked up are on remand. They have not been found guilty of a crime, and for many of them, by the time they get to court, they've spent more time in prison than they would have been sentenced to. And prison overcrowding means that there's no access to programs or rehabilitation. I've had people serving sentences write to me to tell me that they've been in prison for 4 years without being allowed to engage in any programs to address their offending. People are being told they will only have access to rehabilitation programs at the very end of their sentence, right before parole. This means people could be in prison for years and years without any attempt to provide rehabilitation or support while they're locked up. What do we expect to happen if we lock people up for a decade, provide 6 months of rehabilitation, then send them out into the community again? People have written to me to say they are locked up suffering from serious substance addictions, being denied treatment for those addictions. People who've managed to successfully manage their addictions on the outside, now unsupported and substance dependent again on the inside. Treating people like this in our prisons helps no one, not the person, not their community, and not the broader community on their release. So the CLP's answer to all of this: lower the age of criminal responsibility to 10, build more and more prisons, expand mandatory sentencing, criminalise public drinking, fine parents instead of supporting them, remove human rights protections, introduce pepper spray, arm public safety and transit officers, reintroduce spit hoods, and pass major legal changes like we will be asked to do this week with the amendments to the Youth Justice Act on urgency, without scrutiny, without evidence and without consultation. Madam Speaker, none of this is working. The people of the Northern Territory deserve safety, and they deserve more than a government that trades on fear and responds to harm with more harm. Calling someone who believes in evidence-based approaches to crime an offender apologist is not leadership, it's fear-mongering. We deserve more than politics that trades in anger for social media clicks while leaving communities to bear the cost. Because we all deserve to be safe. We all agree on that. Like other people in this chamber, I talk to people in my community every day about what safety means to them. Like Patricia, 82, who's lived in my electorate for more than 60 years. For her, it means being able to walk to the shops without fear. For Braden, who's 6 and growing up in public housing, it means a safe outdoor space to play and schools that nurture him. For Ellis and Kay, new parents, it means knowing their baby will grow up in a community that supports young families and has the services they need. For Simi, who's just arrived in Darwin to start a new life, it means feeling welcome, included and protected. Safety is not just the absence of crime, it's the presence of community, connection and care. And of course we need to address violent crime. No one is saying otherwise. People have the right to feel safe in their homes, in their streets, in their workplaces. And of course victims deserve justice and support. And those who commit serious harm must be held accountable. But accountability is not the same as punishment without purpose. A real plan to reduce violent crime means addressing the causes, not just the symptoms. It means targeted response, evidence-based interventions and systems that actually reduce the chance of harm happening again. Because if our goal is fewer victims, safer communities and a justice system that works, we have to do what works, not what makes the best headline. Ask any police officer, any youth worker, any family on the front line. We cannot arrest ourselves out of crime. We cannot punish our way to prevention. Every child who ends up in a watch house is a child who was let down by systems long before that moment, by housing, by education, by mental health services, by child protection. And if we want to reduce crime, we have to fix those systems. We need to invest and properly invest in early intervention, in diversion, in domestic, family and sexual violence prevention, in drug and alcohol rehabilitation, in family support, in culturally safe care, in the courts, in the bail system and in therapeutic justice. We need to look at what actually works, like Glasgow, where a public health approach reduced violent crime by over 50%, or Groote Eylandt here in the Territory, where communities led the change and youth crime has dropped dramatically, or Baltimore, where they've had a massive drop in violent crime through a public health approach, through accountability and through community engagement. There are many real solutions, but they require more than just slogans. Because all of it, is about building safety through connection, not division. And politics of division and fear is not making us safer now, and it will never make us safer. This is not about being soft or hard. It's about being smart and about doing what actually works, not what sounds good on Facebook. The Chief Minister is right when she says what is happening here is not normal. It's not normal for people to feel unsafe in their homes and their streets. And it's not normal that the response to that is to divide people, to ignore what will work, and to lead and listen to some and not all. Madam Speaker, I feel scared for all of our future. Real safety doesn't come from locking people up. It comes from fewer people offending in the first place. And until this government understands that and acts on it, these failures will continue and Territorians will keep paying the price. Thank you.